Hello again, folks. As promised, a new video, a new hat. Howdy, man. This is the only other one that I had available. So, yeah, whatever. Native of Mexico. Week 11 of the plan, and we're back on the big boy horse. It's a kind of what seems to be a standard for this second half or third of the plan, a kind of 2 13k easy runs sandwiching a 10k pace run. And yeah, after the deload week, you kind of have to pay the price and get back in, and a nice 30k run on Sunday on the weekend. So I was feeling flush with success after week 10, and it kind of continued. It wasn't too bad. So 13k doesn't sound much more than 10k, but it is quite a bit of a step up. You know, for me, the speed I'm running at, it's another 20-25 minutes, which is not inconsiderable. And yeah, it just takes a little bit extra out of your legs. So anyway, the Tuesday run went like this. Tuesday morning, what a lovely morning. Still very cold. Out for 13k of easy nonsense this morning. So hopefully no incidents, just dullness. Zone 2, here we come. And that is Hillary halfway. Everything going all right at the moment. Had a brief sciatic flare in my right leg, which is probably still the same thing with my hip, but that seems to have worked its way out. And yeah, I don't know, it's going all right. It's a very sunny day, so I keep seeing my shadow in great relief against the pavement. And I met a woman on the way to the Cancer Research 10k who asked me if I did anything funny when I run, and she said she had a funny arm that just had a life of its own, and I couldn't think of anything. But now, having seen my shadow, I know exactly what my oddness is. I run like Robert De Niro from Zero Day. I run like an old man. Yeah, there we go. And that's 13k done. Mostly easy, well, half easy. And then I decided that I wanted to go for a negative split. So the second half was a bit tougher, but I think I kept it in zone 3. All good. Time to start the day. Yeah, so quite straightforward. Fairly happy with that one, I think. Wednesday was a tempo, and I think I went 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers with 1 kilometer rests in between, running the big kilometers quick, much faster than marathon pace. And it was hard going, but I got through it, and it went like this. Wednesday morning, and I'm not looking forward to this one. It's a 10k tempo workout. And that may mean something to some of you and nothing to others, but it's going to be painful. Nothing to do but get on with it. I'm going to get my excuses out of the way first. I did 13k yesterday with a negative split. I went to the gym in the evening and did some legs, did some squats, some calf raises and some side planks. And I didn't sleep very well last night. So, not a good recipe. Oh, I've not had breakfast yet. So not a good recipe for feeling fueled and strong. All that being said, I went out a bit quick. I went out at what would be my real tempo, I suppose, for a 10k or maybe a 5k, I don't know. Just over, 6 minutes per kilometre, 6:05, something like that, for the first 3k, and that was too fast. And I've dropped down to about 6:25 for the 6k, 6:27 I think. And my legs have gone to jelly. So I'm having a little rest, a little walk, and I'll pick it up again about 6.5 and do the last 3.5 at a more sensible tempo pace for a marathon, for my marathon, at about 6:30. Speak to you at the end. And that's the end of that. 10k tempo-ish, a little abbreviated, well, not abbreviated, punctuated, but I did an extra half a kilometre at the end to make sure I did enough work. Ooh. Looking forward to rest day tomorrow. Enjoy your weeks until Friday. I'll speak to you then. Ta-da!
Now, what I found hard on that run, and what I do tend to find hard on the speed runs, is knowing how to set off at a pace that I can sustain for the period of the race. I've got a gear that I know I can plod along for ages. I've got, it turns out, and we'll get to that next week, I've got a gear that I can sustain for at least a half marathon, which is quicker. I have had in the past a 10k gear, but that seems to have evaporated. I've no idea how to run a 5k, and now I just don't know if the thing calls for you need to run a 10k tempo. I've got no clue what pace to set out, what that feels like to set out at a pace that is challenging and will remain challenging through 10k, and doesn't mean I blow up 3 or 4k in, or get to the end and think, well, I could have gone harder than that. So I guess that's something that comes with practice. I haven't got it yet, and hopefully it's something that changes over time. I mean, I guess you treat it more as an effort than a pace, and I just haven't found the effort level that I need to put in at the beginning so that it's hard at the beginning and it stays hard all the way through. But anyway, I'm getting through the things. I'm running them faster than I intend to run the marathon at, which I hope means I'm pushing my VO2 max, I suppose. Maybe not, at least my aerobic threshold. Words. Don't know. Getting better. Friday, another 13k. Easy run. Fairly uneventful, except that I think I did my trainers up too tight, so I had sore feet from relatively early on all the way through. So I've got to watch out for that. I've got 3 pairs of trainers in the rotation at the moment. I've got some Rebel X somethings, all New Balance, Rebel XT, Rebel XT4s, something like that. Those are kind of reasonably responsive, so I use those for the speed sessions. I've got the fuel cell carbon thingies, the really silly expensive ones that I'm going to use on the race day. I have trained in them. I think, did I go out in them on the Sunday? Can't remember. I definitely did the half marathon next week in them. They're great, they're really comfortable, and they do seem to provide an extra spring, which is welcome. And I've got the New Balance 1080 V14s, which I wore on this run. And the carbon shoes are a wide fitting. The Rebels seem to be pretty wide anyway, but they're not specifically a wide fitting. The 1080s I couldn't get in a wide fitting, so I've got the standard ones. And I've just got to watch that I don't tighten them up too much, because they just impinge on the instep, and I actually get it on the outside of my foot. Everything feels a bit tight and gets a bit sore. So I've since loosened the laces and run in them again, and that's fine, no problems, but where possible, I will be getting the wider fittings. So that was Friday. I think we've watched the video. If not, here it is.
Good morning, good morning. It's a 13k slow and easy run today, and t-shirt look. We're back to t-shirt weather, kind of. It's a bit chillier than I thought it was going to be, but it's nice. It's nicer than it has been. Right, boring, easy, slow, let's go. That's halfway. It's going right so far, except my feet hurt. I don't know what that's about. I did nothing other than commuting to London yesterday, so unless my comfortable shoes are impinging on my feet, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, another 6.5 to go. Only way past it is through it. And that's the end of that. 13k done. Mostly nice and easy. Of course, I ramped it up a little bit towards the end, just because I'm an idiot, and just to see if I could. So last k was a bit quicker. Not much, I don't think. Enough to get me out of breath a little bit. And that's that. So, a fairly standard week leading up to 30k on Sunday, which I'm regarding with a little bit of dread, but that will be what it will be.
And then we're on to Sunday, and Sunday was a 30k long run, and having bailed out on the 29k a couple of weeks prior, I was a little bit trepidatious, but actually it was okay. I ran it much more sensibly in the early afternoon, and properly fueled and properly rested, and I got through it all right. Again, I'm never going to be fast. It wasn't a fast run, but it was fine, and I didn't break down, I didn't hurt myself. Everything felt kind of okay. I think I've mentioned a few times on here that I've had a bit of a niggle in my right hip. It seems that might have been caused by constantly running the same lap, the 3k lap around my house, which I have done for most of this training block and most of my previous half marathon training blocks and whatever else, because it's just where I live. It has a fairly steep camber on a left-hand bend that goes on for a few hundred meters, and actually because I'm just going out and turning left and turning left and turning left, most of the drainage, most of the pavements are set on a camber that, even whether it's slightly or quite severely, drains off down to the road. So I realized I'm constantly running with pressure on that right leg, more pressure on that right leg. So I reversed course for most of the long run, and that seems to have almost resolved it. So that's a silly thing. I have been working on it and stretching it and pummeling it and all that kind of stuff, but it does feel like it's just an imbalance caused by environmental issues. So do watch out for that. If you're suffering from anything that's a bit lopsided, make sure you're not running the same course all the time and it's putting undue strain on you. So anyway, Sunday, here.
All right, the day's here. 30k long run. We'll give it a go, eh? Sunday morning, just after 9. Hopefully I'll be done by lunchtime or thereabouts. I feel like the Bionic Man today. I've got patella bands on my knees. I've got my full race rig with hydration stuff in the back and lots of gels. And I'm going to make this as close to what the real race should be as possible. I think I'm starting about the same time as well. Right, let's crack on. That's 5k done, nice and easy. Happy to report that all the robotic functions are working well. I'd really forgotten how stupidly simple but effective those patella bands are. Can't feel any impact on the road at all, which is great. Touch wood, they're going to be my saviour on these longer runs. No problem from my hip yet, but I've had a cutting thought, because I always come the same way around this lap. There is a slight camber on the pavement, and I just wonder if that's affecting me. So I'm going to cunningly reverse my direction through the park just now and do at least the next 2 or 3 laps in reverse and see if that changes the emphasis of what I feel. Anyway, time for a gel. Speak to you soon. And that is 11k, or a third of the way through this run, or a quarter of the way to marathon distance. More than. Still feeling surprisingly spry. I think my porridge has helped this morning. Definitely the shoes have helped. Definitely the patella bands have helped. And weirdly, this changing directions helped too. Much less stress on my hip. I think there's something in this camber thing, or it's just placebo and I fooled myself. Either way, it's working. Back later. And that's halfway. And it's not afternoon yet. It will be afternoon by the time I finish, considerably. Still going strong. That's 17 in, and that can mean only one thing. It's time for nootropics, the caffeine gel. It's time for Popeye to take his spinach. It's time for the lightning to go into the DeLorean. It's time for when the washing machine goes on the spin cycle and you're leaning against it at just the right angle. Never mind. Anyway, it's time for that. Half marathon distance next. Woohoo! That is half marathon distance. Feeling alright. I bloody should be, I'm hardly moving. Let's crack on. 23.5k in. Time for my last gel stop. The last one, the rocket fuel one, had approximately bugger all effect, but I'm still going. So maybe it did, and I didn't notice. Do I reckon I could do another 17k on top of this? At this pace, yeah, maybe. Ask me again in another 7. That's 26k. So you know what? From here on in, every single step is the furthest distance I've ever run. Going slightly mad, and that is what 30 kilometres feels like. Not as bad as I thought it might be. Not lovely, but it's all right. Again, the last like 4 were difficult. I guess that's just lack of practice, lack of familiarity. I think I held zone 2 fairly comfortably all the way up until 26, and then it was difficult even staying at the same cadence, the same like 7:35 pace, 7:30, something like that. Was tough, and I had my knees were hurting, or starting to hurt. Hurt is the wrong word. They felt stiff. I felt like I didn't have any knee, no joint in my leg, and what I realised I was doing was not running properly. I was running with a very straight leg and barely kicking back. So I had to introduce a bit of a back kick into my stride, i.e. getting back to a proper running gait, and that pushed my heart rate up, not the pace. Just extra effort on the hamstrings, I suppose. Anyway, it's done. I get to enjoy the rest of my day, which is still over half left. So good.
And that's another week in the bag, and another week closer to the marathon itself. Nice to get back onto a real week of training and finish it. It was a bit of a worry after failing the 29 that actually I didn't have the distance in my legs at all. So this was good, and yeah, I feel quite upbeat at the end of it. There'll be another hat change. In fact, I think I'm probably done with recording for tonight, so you might well see a clothing change for the next video. And once I've edited them, I will speak to you soon. Take it easy. Now, what I found